Hi everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Chartered Accountants Ireland Chartered Career Chat series. Today I am delighted to be talking to Amy. Amy, welcome and thank you so much for coming along and agreeing to share your story. How are you?
Oh, I'm not too bad, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to have a little chat on a Thursday morning.
Absolutely. No, it's great to have you along. I love the difference in the journeys and the folk that come from different paths. So you have another perspective to share. So let's get into it. So I always ask at the very beginning, how do folk enter the profession? So let's put that to you, Amy, in terms of how did you even end up in chartered accountancy?
So I suppose I had a little bit of a untraditional route to chartered accountancy in that I wouldn't actually say it's ever what I thought I would see myself doing. Now my dad owns his own business, so I was always exposed to, I suppose, accountancy in that form. You would have always seen him sitting at the dinner table doing his receipts, but it was never something that really entered my mind. I did criminology at university, so again, not accountancy related at all. And I suppose as I was coming to the end of my degree, I started thinking, okay, what am I going to do next? And I applied to PwC to actually do forensic accounting. So similar. That's what it said, forensics in it, so I thought it was similar. And when I applied to that, they actually phoned me and said that place had been filled by someone from their internship, and would I like to apply to the assurance graduate program instead. So I said yes, probably not knowing entirely what it was, having no accountancy background myself, and that got me into, I suppose, my graduate training program and into Chartered Accountants Ireland professional qualification.
Brilliant. And I love that background, coming in from the unrelated degree, similar to myself. And sometimes there still is that misconception that you have to come from accounting, finance, business, but absolutely not the case. So I'm always delighted when I get somebody coming on from an unrelated background. So you were then studying at that point, obviously juggling it all, and coming from an unrelated background, you managed to place in the exams, I know, Amy. So, tell me a bit about that. How is it coming from criminology? You were obviously performing exceptionally well in our program.
If I'm honest, when I first started PwC, it was a real shock to my system, having never thought much of accountancy. Whenever you go into some training firms, do like a 4-week intensive catch-up for their new graduates. So we did a double entry bookkeeping crash course, for want of a better word, and I could have been learning a completely different language. I was shell shocked. I didn't know what a double entry was, I didn't know what a debit was, I didn't know what a credit was, and if I'm honest with you, it was really, really hard. But I suppose I just worked hard, and I wanted to make sure that I could catch up with the ones who did have an accountancy background and understood what was going on. And it was a lot of hard work and a lot of weekend classes, but I'm so glad. It's one of those things you look back on now and you're just so glad that you actually pushed through, because it's a real sense of accomplishment at the end of it. Actually, far more than university for me. I'm actually far more proud of my chartered certificate than I am of my degree.
Well, I share that sentiment, because there is a lot of hard graft, and let's not stress that up. There's a lot of hard work in it, and congratulations, and absolutely, fair play to you for then going on and being placed in the exams, because that's an incredible achievement. So for anybody coming in from an unrelated background, this is proof that you can come in and not just pass your exams, but do exceptionally well. So delighted we're sharing that today, Amy. Well, look, that is you up to qualifying. Then tell me a bit about then your journey post qualification. Did you stay with PwC for a long while after? Because I know you're in BT now, and we'll get to that.
Yes. So I did my FAs and it must have been October 2019, and then came out officially of contract in March 2020, which coincided very nicely with the coronavirus pandemic. So I suppose from where I was, I always knew audit wasn't where I wanted to progress long term. I was so grateful for the experiences that PwC gave me, and I think you learn an awful lot in that environment. You get exposure to different businesses, exposure to different clients that you might not get in other firms, and the learning I got from PwC was amazing, but I knew audit long term wasn't where I saw myself going. So I'd always intended, I suppose, to start looking at the job market in around March and April time to see what was out there, and that obviously didn't happen because the job market was non-existent for a few months. So I stayed in PwC until December just passed, and in about October, November time, I started having to think about where I wanted to go next, what I wanted to do, which I suppose then led me on to BT.
And tell me a bit about your current role then. What do you do there?
So I entered BT in assurance and transformation finance manager role. So similar in some ways to audit, in that we are looking at the business, trying to find areas of improvement, trying to find processes that can be done a little different and a little better, and really getting stuck into, I suppose, how we can improve the business environment. And I suppose you're maybe not meant to say this, but I was somebody who, coming out of practice, wasn't 100% sure on what I wanted to do. And what I loved about BT is that they are so supportive of people trying different things. You know, you speak to people who have worked, like my colleagues, and they say, you know, I started in this role and then I tried a finance business partnering role, and then I tried a financial controller role, and then I decided financial control is what I really love, and that's the direction I want to take it. And that really appealed to me because, you know, I can get this great experience on the industry side of assurance, and then, you know, I can maybe try something else to see how that fits me. And it's exciting. I feel like blessed with a lot of opportunities all within one umbrella, which is nice.
That's fantastic. And as you say, and you know, I don't think there's any shame in saying that, you don't always know. So it's lovely, you know, come out of your training contract, go into an organization, as you say, that is supportive and that will allow you opportunity to try different things, because you won't know unless you try.
Exactly. And I think we were chatting a tiny bit before we started recording, Sinead, and you tend to find chartered accountants are people who like to be challenged and like to always be learning. And that's something that I love now, is that I know that if ever I get to a stage where I feel I'm not learning, you know, there's always that opportunity to try something new. And that's something that's important to me, and something certainly when I was looking for jobs, I wanted to be going into a role and into a place where I could push myself. And really, now that I have so much free time, I've no more exams, I'll be pushing myself in another way.
But you're absolutely right. We do like challenge. I think maybe, you know, as a chartered accountant, and to problem solve. So, you know, when you've new tasks to work on, I think it stimulates us, it excites us, it motivates us. So no, totally agree with that. Well, thinking maybe about I suppose the ACA qualification itself, many would view it as, you know, a business leadership credential. It's more than number crunching or bean counting. And, you know, these age-old stigmas, I have never counted a bean in my career, but would you agree, you know, it's more than, you know, just numbers?
Yeah, 100%. And I think, like, in my current role at the minute, I haven't seen a number in 6 months. You know, it's not that you're constantly looking at spreadsheets or anything like that. And I think as you go in, whatever direction you take your career with accountancy, as you do look at the leaders in your teams, you will find that the majority of them do have the chartered qualification. And I suppose it gives you the technical understanding and the understanding of the accounting, but also because, you know, you have to be exam qualified, but you also have to be time qualified. And I think that time qualified piece really does give you the skills that business leaders need. You know, you have to be good at communicating, you have to know how to manage stakeholders and client expectations, and that the time qualified bit sometimes I think is overlooked, because it gives you those soft skills that you need to, I suppose, become a business leader, which is why it's so much more than just knowing how to put together a P&L and a balance sheet.
No, I totally agree. The work experience element, because it's something I shout about, that this isn't just a theory journey where you obviously study and get your academic element ticked off. There is the work experience, the time qualified pieces you talk about, and without that, you know, you don't qualify. So there's an excellence in coming from both those paths in and making sure that you excel in each. The qualification, do you think then it's had an impact on your own journey and being able to obviously progress into BT and move up into that new opportunity?
Yeah, 100%. And in all honesty, Sinead, I don't think I would be in the job I am today without it. You know, it is a prerequisite for applying for a lot of jobs, and the skills that you get are skills that you need to be successful in these roles. So I'm so glad I did it, and it's 100% worth it. If anyone's thinking about it, it's 100% worth it, and it opens so many doors for you. And I think, especially as a outcome of the pandemic, I think everybody's more conscious of things like job security and things like that, and it's maybe something I wouldn't have considered before with accountancy, but I actually feel very secure in knowing that I have this qualification, and that, you know, there will be doors open to me if, God forbid, something that happened in whatever job you were ever in, that there would be another one around the corner, because it's such a respected qualification.
No, that is such a valid point, especially given the climate, the fact that the qualification holds its own in the market. It's so stable. There's over 99% employment within the profession, and I think that's a real comfort for folk, especially given what we've all been living through and continue to live through, but hopefully coming out the other side.
And something that I wouldn't have thought of before, and I think it opens so many opportunities and also gives you that job security, which maybe it's getting older that I think about things like that.
No, it's sensible, it's practical if I think about these things. You're wise indeed. Well, thinking about skills, is there anything in particular you think is important skill set wise to bring into the profession, or to have to succeed in in chartered accountancy?
I think a lot of things that you need to be a chartered accountant can be learned, like Excel skills. I never opened an Excel before 4 years ago, and I'm perfectly adequate at it now. And the technical side, again, can be learned, but I think because of that, I do think you need to be hardworking, and you need to, it's not easy, otherwise everyone would do it. And you need to have just that hardworking, can-do attitude to push through. Communication, I actually think, is quite important, because you tend to find yourself leading teams, and certainly if you go through a practice route, as you progress through the firm, you have juniors who you need to coach, and you've clients that you need to chat to and be able to tell them what's going on. So I think communication is very important, and that would probably be the two that I think are key. I think I would be reluctant to say that you have to be fab at the technical side of things, because you can teach yourself that, and you can, with the hard work attribute, you can get there.
No, I totally agree. Communication, hard work, that sort of just dedication to succeeding within the profession will take you a long way. And sometimes folk don't recognize or appreciate that, chartered accountant, okay, I need to be a good communicator. It's so important as you evolve through your journey, in my opinion anyway. And so many folk have come on and said communication. So sometimes that's an eye-opener for the viewers, which, it's great that we do these things then.
And I know when I was doing, or when I passed my exams, people would say, oh my gosh, and I don't actually mean this the way that it sounds, you're so smart, and you have to almost go. I was always taken aback by that, because I said, well, yes, but no, because I worked so hard. It was the hard work piece that got me here, not any natural inclination to getting it, because it was not natural to me coming from criminology, and just that hard work really pushed me through.
Yeah, well, it's an incredible achievement. It's this way to place and do so well, but it's very evident that you put in the hours and the graft. And the reality is, when you think about a professional qualification, it's not going to be a walk in the park, and especially if you don't come from a related background, there's going to be that little bit of a mountain to climb. But what I would say is Chartered Accountants Ireland does set you up for success. I came from a related background, and as long as you know that you are getting into a journey that will require you to pivot and maybe change your mindset, how you learn, and you're happy to put in the hours, you will absolutely still succeed.
Yeah, and the 3 years goes so fast. It just flies by. The 3 years goes so fast. You're with people doing the same qualifications, so you people to lean on, and some of my best friends are the ones I joined PwC with, because it's almost like you're getting thrust into an environment where you have to lean on each other for support, and it goes so fast, and it's so worth it.
Absolutely, I'm the same. You do make friends for life. If you think about your journey then, Amy, has anything surprised you about coming into chartered accountancy at all?
I think I probably wasn't aware of the range of opportunities that did open to you, and going into practice, initially I thought practice was the only way forward. You could maybe move to a medium-sized practice or a smaller practice, or you could try, I could have moved to forensic accounting or like corporate finance, but it was all very practice based, and I actually didn't fully understand how transferable all the skills that I was learning actually was, and to be able to see that so many places recognize qualification, even if, like as I said, my current job isn't very number focused, but they still want that qualification, which must to some extent be for the soft skills that you acquire along the way. And that did surprise me, because it's opened doors that wouldn't have been there otherwise.
And I know when we chatted pre-recording, you've obviously had the benefit of even traveling a little bit, in your previous role with PwC. And one thing that often surprises folk is the fact that the qualification is recognised off the island as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I've worked in London with PwC, a few little remote towns as well, and then it was pre-COVID, obviously. I went to Denver for a while to work on a client in America, and I think the opportunity to travel with this qualification is huge, and especially now when countries are so reluctant to open their borders. When you can show that you are a professional, that makes it so much easier if you wanted to, say, go to Canada or go to Australia, where we've got the upper foot now.
Absolutely. And those countries you mentioned are hotspots, the New Zealand's, Australia's, Canada, the States, and lots of Irish chartered accountants are there, and there's proper communities, which is super. But look, you and I could talk all day. I've loved having the chat with you, but maybe in closing, if we round things up, Amy, if you were, looking back at your own journey and, even your current position, and you're thinking of someone who is considering coming into the profession or very early doors into it, what would you say to them? Have you any tips or wisdom to share?
Honestly, it wasn't easy, but it was 100% worth it, and it's something that I'm so glad I did. I would say, reach out to people like Sinead and ask them any questions you have. There's always people willing to give you the information that you need, and if anyone wants to reach out to me, feel free to do so. I'm always happy to chat through it, especially coming from a non-relevant background. I'm very passionate in making sure that people realize that you don't have to have done accountancy, you don't have to have done a master's in accountancy to get this qualification, and it gives us skills that others might not have because of that. So I would honestly encourage anyone to do it. It's hard work, but 1,000,000% it's worth it. Not that 1,000,000% is a thing. I should know better than accountant.
Can we say that as accountants? Don't worry, don't worry. I say it all the time. But what a note to end on. Amy, it has just been a delight to chat to you. Thank you so much for coming on. It has honestly been lovely. And folk tuning in, I have no doubt you really enjoyed that. So until next time, folks, we will see you soon. And Amy, thanks again.
Thank you so much.